Well, good morning, everybody. I'm really delighted to be talking to you today about our regional head teacher networks, which were previously known as Jubilee networks. This is the first time Challenge Partners is offering these networks or opened up this model to schools, both in Challenge Partners and new schools who are joining us. And we really hope they continue to be a powerful vehicle for supporting head teachers and school improvement. Let me introduce myself before I share my screen and talk you through some slides. I'm Catherine Bailhache. I'm Head of Network Development at Challenge Partners. And I joined just under 2 years ago, bringing with me a group of 6 or so head teacher networks and a CEO network. I'm going to be joined later in this session by Steve Moir, who is a head teacher at Bradley Stoke Community School, who will talk to you about his experience of the regional head teacher networks. So bear with me, please. I'll just share my screen. Firstly, I want to sort of start with where do regional head teacher networks sit in our organisation? So I talked about these joining 2 years ago, and one of the reasons for that partnership between ourselves and Challenge Partners was because we felt there were real synergies in our values and our approach to supporting school leaders. And I think a kind of core golden thread, if you like, that runs through all our programs and networks at Challenge Partners is this focus on facilitating collaboration, challenge, and professional development between schools in our network. And that was a real synergy for us that drew us to Challenge Partners. Now, we believe that excellent practice resides in schools and trusts, and that it's really our job to unlock that and mobilise the knowledge so that best practice becomes common practice and the whole system improves. This graph on the left represents our mission, which is to reduce educational inequality and improve the life chances of all children. And we're interested in working with schools at the very top to extend their excellence, and with schools needing to improve at the other end of the spectrum. And we believe that if we do this, both this together, we achieve upwards convergence across the whole system. Now, on the right, these I'm showing you here are our values at Challenge Partners, and they very much sort of permeate the regional head teacher networks. I hope that will come across as I share more about what we do in these networks. And for us, in a sense, these values go almost hand in hand, because you can't have excellence without equity. You know, if you believe that all pupils deserve an excellent education, as we do, with social justice at the heart of our mission, you need to focus on equity and supporting those who need our help the most. Collaboration, we feel, is hugely valuable, and there's a professional developmental collaboration is in particular, the value of challenge. I'd say that where, you know, if you want collaboration to be even more robust, there's a place for that when brought with skillful challenge. And actually, part of bringing skillful challenge in our programs and networks, including in our regional head teacher networks, is about being prepared to share your vulnerability. That's where we feel, in a sense, courageous leadership comes in. It does, the willingness to both share your strengths, but also open up with others areas that you're working on, areas for development, is hugely valuable, and in effect supports the innovation. Because, in our experience, what you find is school leaders will leave meetings and experiences they've had with other schools feeling really energized and confident about trying things out that they've seen in other settings in their own practice. So I've talked here then about, the synergies between the regional head teacher network model and Challenge Partners. I'm just going to sort of walk through a little bit the history of the regional head teacher networks. So they began, were set up in 2011 as a partnership really between a National College of School Leadership Associate and this consultancy you see on the right here. And it was at a time where the founder, the educational founder, felt that there was a time of rapid change with academization, the weakening of local authority support, the needs for schools to do more with less, incredible sort of challenges that head teachers were facing at that time, and a sort of experience of loneliness as a new standalone converter academy, wanting to collaborate and be outward facing, but finding that local networks were not providing him with the support he was looking for. And he approached the consultancy because, in fact, one of the partners had been doing some leadership work with him and had that prior relationship. And he was interested in how we could bring to this model not just a network to support leaders share their practice, but also take time to learn from sectors beyond education, to learn from leadership and from business. And for that to be developmental and stretching for head teachers. So the seed was seeds of an idea of a kernel of a new network model were set, and in that first year, a network was set up in the Southwest and alighted on these 4 key aims, which have really stuck. So the aims of these regional head teacher networks are to provide a space to address current, emergent and strategic challenges, to provide, importantly, a safe space for reflection and mutual support, to support each other's efforts to improve at that leading edge, and to provide opportunities for further collaboration by other staff. So over the course of the period between 2011 and 2019, when these networks joined Challenge Partners, we established networks in the Southwest, in South Central England and the Midlands, and they still run today. So I'm going to talk about, the essence of these networks and what we're trying to achieve with them, and then explain what happens typically in these network meetings. So our focus then is on building relational networks of heads who come together. And the relational element allows you to have that safe space for working collaboratively. And we take time and care to create an ethos and support you to form strong relationships with heads in your networks. The other element I pull out is that they are regional. So what we found was that it was effective to bring together groups of heads in small groups, a maximum of 12 heads, typically drawn from different local authority areas within a region. So you might have 8 or 9 local authorities represented. And they would be similar phase, so 11 to 19 or primaries. That was how we formed the networks. They're very much about providing you with immersive learning experiences. I'll say more about what that looks like in a moment. They provide a chance for you to benchmark your practice with a group of peers from similar schools. And we bring leadership inputs to support you get to know each other as leaders, and also to bring some stretch to your own leadership and the leadership of your teams. We take care at the start of forming these networks through our onboarding process to ensure everybody's clear about their commitments to each other and the ethos of the network. In terms of what we do in the network meetings, so we typically meet 5 times a year in each other's schools, and the host school, the focus for the morning is the content is provided from the host school, and we'll have inputs from the senior leadership team on areas of strength as well as areas for development. There'll be a learning walk, which can be focused on validating the strengths that were shared in the presentations, or they may be a more general climate check. As I said, the inputs from the host school then are short and sharp and focused on whatever it is the school is particularly proud of and wants to share or ask for feedback on from the group. And following those inputs, we have sort of facilitated discussion in which there's a sharing of different approaches to the leadership of that particular sort of area. In the afternoon, the focus shifts, if you like, from the host school to the whole group. And we co-create these agendas with the group. So it may be that there's been a number of pre-identified topics that the group will come ready to discuss. We also hold a live issues session, which I'll say more about, and coaching sets. Johnny, I just want to pause and ask if Steve has yet joined us.
Yes, Steve is now in the call, so welcome, Steve. Thank you for joining.
Great, okay. So I wanted to just pull out on the learning walk before handing over to Steve to ask him to sort of share his experience of regional networks. With the learning walks, that these will be, as I said, they might focus on validating the strengths shared by a senior leader in a prior presentation, but there's a range of sort of opportunities to which include going in classroom visits, looking in books, talking to pupils or students or governors, and there's been real flexibility in how we approach that according to what the host school is going to find most valuable. So it could be that they want to do a deep dive into a specific area, and that would be how we run it. And following the learning walk, we have a facilitated feedback session in which the host school obviously hears the feedback from his peers, which can be incredibly sort of powerful and valuable experience, hearing from 8 or 9 or more experienced head teachers in the room. So it's a very sort of quick overview, if you like, of what happens when we get together in these network meetings. I'm going to ask Steve, I know he hasn't got too long, he's able to be with us for the next 10 minutes. So Steve, can I invite you to stop sharing my screen, share your experience of these and what you've valued?
Yeah, morning, Catherine, and morning, everyone. I'm Steve Moir, I'm head teacher at Stoke Community School, which is in South Gloucestershire, and we're part of the Olympus Academy Trust, which is a trust of, we're an all-through school. There's 3 other secondaries, UTCs joining, and 5 primaries. So yeah, my experience, I've been involved with the Jubilee for coming up for 6 years now, and was introduced to them by Dave Baker, who is the CEO of our trust now, who had been a kind of founding member, hadn't he, Catherine, of the Jubilee network in our Southwest region. I could get a sense straight away of the power of the group, actually, because there was a huge amount of trust between the people who were meeting there. And I think one of the elements that built that was that they'd known each other over time, but also how it was geographically aligned in that we had a school from pretty much every local authority, but not more than one school. I think only in very recent times have we had a couple of schools. So it sort of takes any sort of competition or any kind of political nuances that might influence the ability to be really honest with one another and have that really trusting environment. So I got that feeling straight away, and Dave moved out the way and let me get on and enjoy the Jubilee meetings. I think it was also really interesting at that point because, as Catherine's outlined, we'd taken in turns to host, which was a really good thing to do, and thinking about what you want to showcase and share with others about your school. What you're really proud of that you think others can really learn from. And B, as we got more and more confident, I felt like so when we first did the visits, we would say, have a look around my school, give me some feedback, which was normally positive, and a few people would pick up on various things, a bit of litter here, or the notice board here was beautiful. And after about 6 months of that, we sat down and said, we need to give this a bit more teeth. We trust each other. We know we're really good professionals. We've just done a new feedback policy. These are all of the humanities classes on at the moment. Can you go into all of them for me and see if that policy is actually happening or not? So you've got the opportunity to have some really experienced colleagues who really know what they're doing and are objective and can go and have a look at an element of your school that, it's one of those assumptions, isn't it? We've done a shiny new policy, but is it actually happening out there? So that really grew and became a real tool to use from the Jubilee meetings. And we do the showcase element in the morning. Then we would always, one of the things I always valued was the sort of hot topics, which we would, Catherine would ask in advance for. Because again, it was that opportunity of the things that are being a real challenge to you at that moment in time in your school as the head teacher or whatever role you had. Here's an opportunity with people who do the job every day, and you can talk through that issue with them. Here, worst case scenario, you tend to get other people saying, yeah, we're really struggling with that as well, or everybody. Best case scenario, which happened frequently, was, well, yeah, we had that issue and we've come up with these strategies, or this has worked, or there's this person, or there's this link. So it was finding a sort of almost a coaching conversation, but also having practical solutions and follow-ups and other ideas. One of the greatest values is every time I would visit schools in the Jubilee network, I would leave with all sorts of gold nuggets of things that I'm taking back to my school. Sometimes that would involve a bit of follow-up and a bit further discussion, but there was always, some really, really good things to take from it. And we also had some really nice spin-offs as well. We pulled together our curriculum leads for a meeting, because from the discussions that we'd had when the heads got together, we could see there were real thematic challenges that we were all struggling with to do with curriculum. So let's bring our curriculum leads in and let's share that and find some joint solutions and different ways that different people have approached it. And also from a student perspective. So I did with Matthew from Farmers School, we swapped our student leadership teams. So our head students and their teams, I'd heard a lot of brilliant things that they were doing at Matthew's school. So we got on a minibus and took the kids there and showed them the brilliant things that they were doing, and then did a reciprocal visit as well. And those are just a few little examples really of, the positive spiraling and follow-up that would happen from the networks. I also, if I've got an issue, or I just want to get a sense of, what the feeling is on what's going on at the moment, I'll just send out an email to all of the Jubilee network heads and say, this has happened. Have you got a similar thing, or what's your trust doing, or what are your thoughts about anything, pretty much. And I think, the starting point, which I know Catherine was talking about, is that trust that you it's not instant, but it happens very, very quickly. And the quality that's in the room, the expertise that's in the room, that you just can't access in the same way, in my experience, through any other network that I've been involved in. So I do, I've said to Catherine regularly, I really look forward to our Jubilee network meetings. I've had real value. We've really gained as a school from them. And I feel like I've got a professional network of people that I can really trust, who really know what I'm doing, what I'm dealing with on a daily basis, which is an absolute godsend, to be honest, at various points of crisis, particularly the year that we've just had. There's been plenty of to and froing with emails about what are you doing about. Yeah, is that all right, Cathy?
Thank you very much, Steve. That gives a really good sense of the value you get from the network and what you value, in particular the relationships of trust and the support from peers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know you can't stay with us for too much longer. Did anybody have a question, would like to unmute and ask Steve before he has to drop off the call? And anything practical about what you've heard? No? Great. Well, Steve, you're welcome to join us as long as you continue with us as long as you can. But thank you so much for coming and sharing your experience this morning. I'm going to carry on sharing my screen with just a few more slides to walk you through. So I think, you know, what's really come through from Steve's reflections there is that quality of peer support. And as he explained in the afternoon, we hold, as I said, the focus shifts, for if you like, from the host school sharing content to the whole group. And we do gather those live issues from you in advance of the meeting and share those so that you can come ready to talk about your own experience, how you've handled that challenge, particular solutions that you have. And those are always a very lively, rich, sort of ranging set of discussions that we might spend a good hour and a half working through. We also in the afternoon take the chance to bring some leadership materials from outside education and look at those together. You know, these are sort of bite-sized sessions, if you like, bite-sized leadership inputs that are very sort of oriented for you to be able to apply those in the session and think about their application and relevance to your own leadership and the leadership of your teams and culture in the school. Steve mentioned that during the pandemic, you know, the live issues covered have been very sort of operationally focused on how schools are responding to the challenges and to very fast change, you know, to guidance, changing guidance. You know, I very much hope, as I'm sure you do, that from September we'll be getting back to talking about more of school improvement issues. So typically, you know, in the past we would be talking about and sharing approaches to the development of middle leaders, to curriculum and assessment, governance, or they may be very sort of specific challenges relating, say, to sort of growing your sixth form, or how are you tackling boys writing in year 2. You know, a wide range of topics covered, as Steve mentioned there, the opportunity to sort of share tips and solutions, take back ideas, and really kind of magpie from and pool that collective wisdom within the group. I think everything on this slide, either I or Steve have covered. I've talked about the opportunity in the day then to gain feedback from a group of trusted peers, also importantly on areas of work you're developing, excuse me, with those relationships of trust built. You know, it's as valuable to not just be showcasing what's strong for others to take back, but also using the time to explore areas you're working on. And again, great opportunity for members of your senior leadership team or middle leaders to come and present to that group and get some feedback on how they are on that area of work that's in development. Steve talked about the support between meetings that heads draw on. So, you know, we welcome and encourage that. I think that what we've covered thus far then is really the essence of what these networks are about. If you are interested to join or launch a new regional head teacher network, we would love to talk with you. We currently have networks in the Southwest, Midlands and South Central England. And we are looking to grow new networks in areas where we don't have hubs and where there is demand. So if you are interested to be part of one of these networks, do get in touch and we can work with you to get these off the ground. I wanted to just touch on, for those who are in the call, the other benefits of joining a regional head teacher network on the network partner subscription. At the bottom of the slide here, and you can see the costs of joining regional head teacher networks. If you're joining as a full partner, then you can add on the regional head teacher network for £1,000. And that gives you the benefits we've described of belonging to that network, 5 all-day meetings and some virtual meetings as well. Or if you're joining as a network partner and joining the regional head teacher network through this route, then the cost is calculated on a £3 per pupil basis and includes access to our national network of excellence with all of the knowledge exchange that goes on in the national network of excellence. So finally, just to end, I think what you've heard and what I hope has come across this morning is the value we place on creating a safe space for heads to reflect, learn, and share their experiences. These testimonials, I think, reflect that well. I really value my network and its essence of honest, positive, and high quality dialogue and sharing. It's invaluable to have time to share our challenges, to know that others are struggling or firefighting just the same, and to have time for some self-care and reflection. This is so rare in the day job.